Welcome to the Local Business Show. Seth Green is a nationally recognized marketer who is the nation's foremost authority on growing local businesses through direct response marketing podcasts, and the only person to be nominated 3 times for the GKIC Dan Kennedy Marketer of the Year Award. Seth will be joined by a capable cohort of co-hosts who are each local business marketing experts in their own right. On the podcast, Seth and his co-hosts brings together small business owners and other local business authorities to share with you their inspiring stories of how they started their local business, how they serve their local business clients, how they grow their local business, and how you can too. And now, here's your host.
Welcome to the Local Business Podcast, where we bring together some of the best local business minds. My name is Michael Whitehouse, and I work with Les Results Pathfinder team at Umbrella Local. Les team works with accounting and bookkeeping professionals, and today I am pleased to introduce you to Ken Green. Hi, Ken. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So how is let's start with the current events. So how has the pandemic life been treating you, and how has the last year and a half been for your business?
Well, it's been challenging, so we've had to adjust quite a bit. Nobody saw this coming, and so we had to make some shifts in our business. We have a traditional office that we go to every day, but as a result of the pandemic, we had to figure out a way to start working remotely from home. Mm-hmm. And also had to adjust to some of our clients too. Our clients are used to coming to the office, and so they had to learn how to start meeting with us over Zoom and over Google Meet. And so it's been quite an adjustment.
I can
but
imagine.
We're pleased overall.
Yeah, interesting time. So tell me about your business. How did you get started?
Well, we started the business in about 2009. I started running it on my own in 2009, and I was doing it part-time because I was working full-time at the time. So ran it part-time for a while, for a number of years. Then in 2012, I partnered with a former colleague of mine at PricewaterhouseCoopers. And so that's when we started running it as a full-time business. In 2012, we opened shop in 2013. And so, we've been in business since then.
Very nice.
Just running and growing slowly.
So what got you into accounting in the first place?
Well, I think I got into accounting by accident. My first degree was in engineering. I'm a chemical engineer by trade, but never really worked as an engineer. So I got recruited in my final year in university to work for a bank. And so I left university and then started working in a bank. And then as I was working in the bank, I decided to pursue a designation in accounting. And so started doing some initial training in accounting to be a qualified chartered accountant. And I did that for 2 years before I moved to Canada. And so when I moved to Canada, I couldn't figure out what to do. Everyone got confused when they look at my resume. They see you're an engineer by training, but you're working in a bank. So nobody could find a place to place me here in the country. And so I ended up going to a business school. Mm-hmm. And so I did my MBA here in Toronto at the Schulich School of Business. And towards the end of that program, I decided to focus more on accounting. And so I did a couple of accounting programs and then ended up in PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is one of the big 4 accounting firms here. Mm-hmm. And so as part of that, that's when I got into the profession and got my designation as a chartered accountant.
Very nice. You said you're in Toronto?
Yes, we're in Toronto, Canada.
Okay. And so you've been there for quite some time. Do you have any particular organizations in the city that you're involved with, or causes or anything like that?
Yeah, we're part of the local church here. So I live in Oakville, which is just outside of Toronto. So just involved in our local church here, trying to reach the community and to serve that way. And we also run a not-for-profit organization here called the Oakville Chess Club. So just teaching chess in the community, running a weekly chess club where people come together to learn how to play the game. and to sort of extend some of the benefits that comes along with chess.
That's great. I love that. Yeah.
So that's something we do.
Yeah. And that, engineering, accounting, chess, that seems to have very analytical. There's certainly a through line in that whole story you have there. So who would you say is your ideal client? Who you're most able to serve?
So we serve individuals, but mostly professionals. And the way when we started the business, we opened shop to everyone. And so we were serving anyone that has any tax issues. So it may be people that are dealing with CRA. CRA is the Canada Revenue Agency here. If they have issues with their taxes, we'll help resolve those. If they have to file their personal tax returns, we'll do that for them. We also work with businesses. So there are businesses that are set up as sole proprietors. And so we help them file their business tax return as part of their personal taxes. We also work with corporations. And so these are small businesses that have corporations, and we'll help them put together their profit and loss statements. We'll help them file their corporate tax return. We'll help them with tax planning. Just a lot of individuals, as you know, in Canada, will pay quite a bit in taxes. Our tax rates are high. And so we provide advice on how you can minimize your tax liability, some of the things you can do to help lower your taxes. So we help with planning. And recently, we've also been working with a lot of not-for-profit organizations and charities. And so we have a growing client base in that space. So helping charities plan or get more efficient in terms of their operations, but most importantly, helping them with audits and reviews, because a lot of these organizations apply for funding, and some of the requirements to get some of those funding, you need to have audited or reviewed financial statements. And so that's a service that we provide.
Yeah, and so I imagine that there's probably a few accounting firms in your city there. So all the clients who work with you, what makes them choose you over others they might work with?
I think it's just a relationship for the most part. So as you know, a lot of accounting firms are just traditional. And that's how we started. We started the same way, just providing the regular tax return, accounting, bookkeeping services. But what we discovered later is that a lot of clients value advice, right? So there is the compliance piece, which we do very well. But on top of that, there's also the advice. Okay. So how do you get things more efficient? How do you interpret the results in your business? How do you get more funding? How do you get all of those additional things? And so I think by establishing that relationship and by providing clients the advice in terms of sitting down and interpreting what that data means to them, to their business, to the organization, I think that's where the value is. And so that is where we tend to be different from the traditional firms. And that's why we are able to even charge a little bit more than what traditional firms will charge. So a lot of businesses can go to any shop to file their tax return for $50, for $100. But if you come to us, we'll say, no, we can't do it for you at that rate. And this is the reason why. Because we just don't want to simply provide you with compliance. We want to be able to provide you with advice.
Yeah, then that's huge. That's adding the value.
That's right.
And it sounds like since you're doing coaching and advice in there, not the taxes, that you charge more and it's well worth it.
That's right. And a lot of clients find value in that.
Absolutely. And I know another thing that sets you apart is that you've written a book. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So one of the things we found out by working with a lot of professionals and a lot of individuals over the years was to find out that people were still struggling. And whether you're an individual or you're running a business, there is always that trend. We found out that people were struggling every day. They were not saving enough. They were not thinking ahead or in terms of how they can retire easily. And so when the pandemic hit, what I did was to spend some time trying to put all my thoughts together. A lot of these presentations have been given to clients, particularly the professionals in the medical space that we serve. And so what I did was to put a lot of all these thoughts together into this book called The Tax Efficient Wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And so this book, I wrote it just to provide more information to ordinary Canadians, whether you are just an individual taxpayer with only employment income, or maybe you have a business on the side. So what I did here with this book is to go into some sort of education where I provide you information on how our tax system is structured in Canada. And then I went in to provide a blueprint on how you can use that information to reduce your personal tax liability or your business tax liability. And so it's a small book, it's a quick read. You can read it in 2-3 hours, but again, you come out of it with a blueprint on how you can use the tools that we have in Canada, whether it is our tax-free savings accounts or the registered retirement plans that we have in this country, how you can use all those tools to really, really plan better and to reduce your tax liability. So I encourage everyone to, if you've not picked it up, you can always get a free copy. If you go to my website to pick it up.
Yep. What's your website?
So it's kengreen.ca.
That's easy.
You can go there to pick it up, or if you want to go directly to get this book, I have a link. If you go to kennethgreen.ca/free book.
There you go.
You can always download a free PDF copy there.
Fantastic. So with all the success you've achieved, what would you say has been your biggest challenge so far?
Well, the biggest challenge was always getting the business off the ground. And so we went into this business not realizing how challenging it was to build a business from the ground up. And so in terms of trying to get new clients or figuring out ways to grow the business, those were the challenges we had initially. And then thinking of ways to streamline the business or to even scale the business is always a challenge. It was challenging. It's still an ongoing challenge, even right now as I speak. But I think over the years we've learned quite a bit, and now we are putting those lessons in place as we'll continue to scale the business.
Nice. Yeah. What would you say is the biggest lesson you've learned that other entrepreneurs can benefit from learning?
I think the biggest one for us was our failure to streamline our systems in terms of building a system that will allow us to scale the business easily. I think that was the biggest mistake we made. As I mentioned earlier, we started the business serving everyone. Right. So that was the biggest mistake here. I mean, if I was to start this business all over today, I'm going to define who my client base is. And I think that makes a huge difference in terms of being able to scale your business.
Yeah.
And so I think if you're starting a business today, I will really, really encourage you to focus on a specific client base. So right now we do a lot of services for not-for-profits and charities, and we also work with professionals in the medical space. So whether they are doctors, physicians, that makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
Because if we do that, we can now streamline the processes that we use to serve them. So we can define all our specific tasks, and we just figure out a way to repeat those tasks. So I think that's what I will always encourage everyone to do. So start there, define who your client base is, and then standardize your processes.
That's great.
So that is easy to repeat, is easy to scale.
Yep, that's some great advice. And it gets back to the point we were talking about before, that you don't just do their taxes and their compliance. You can also help advise your clients and give them that advice and other advice from your experience and the experience of your other clients. So that's a really powerful thing. So what is your favorite client success story?
Well, I mean, it's always a great idea when we can save our clients the headache of dealing with compliance or the headache of not having to pay a significant amount of taxes. Well, in this country, we always tell our clients, well, if you make money, you're going to pay taxes. All right. If you earn income, you're going to pay taxes. So that is not questionable, right? Everyone pays taxes. But what we can do is there are ways you can minimize your tax burden, right? And there are ways you can stretch your dollars. There are ways you can save a lot more, right? So that's what people don't understand. And so it's interesting when clients come back to us and say, okay, oh, thank you that I don't have to deal with CRA.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you that I know exactly what my tax liability will be next year. Thank you that I can plan and put money aside to deal with that liability. And thank you that there are ways I can save a little bit more so that my dollar can achieve a lot more or can go a lot further. And so that is what we deal with all the time. And that is how we help our clients. It may be clients that come to us with a lot of burden. Maybe they're owing or they're getting calls all the time from CRA saying they're owing a lot in taxes. But just being able to untangle some of that mess to say, okay, based on all the conversation and the research and everything we've done, this is exactly how much you owe. And this is the arrangement you can have with CRA today to pay off that debt. And this is what you can do going forward so that you don't get into the same mess that you've been to in the past.
Yeah.
And it may just be education, right? A lot of clients don't even know what they have to do, but telling them in terms of, okay, this is what can impact either negatively or positively your tax situation, and just giving them a basic understanding of what our tax system is always a good relief. Because one of the things I always preach is it's always good to know, because if you know, you can always have intelligent conversations with either the CRA or with your planners or with your advisors. And so it's always important to at least understand the basics.
Yeah.
And so we are always big in terms of educating our clients.
Yeah, and that's big on. I like what you said there about how it's not just about reducing taxes, but reducing headaches, understanding what you need to do. Taking away that fear that letter is going to come in the mail, and suddenly you realize you did something wrong. So it's really great to have an advisor like you who can eliminate those headaches. It's not just about the money; it's about the how much am I going to pay? What's going on? So
that's right. That's so true.
Yep, that's great to do that. So, what's the most unusual story you have from your years in the accounting world?
Well, I mean, it came to us. It's not common, but I mean, we've had to deal with clients that owe as much as $200,000 in taxes, and so that was a big shock when I first discovered that. And so these days, when clients come to me and they start screaming, "Oh, I'm in trouble! I'm in trouble!" and I ask, "Okay, how big is the trouble?" "I owe $5,000." I say, "Okay, that's a very insignificant trouble." So it's not a big deal. And so anytime clients come to me, if you owe less than $100,000 in taxes, I just tell you, okay, just take a deep breath. It's not a big issue. It can be solved. It can be addressed. It can be dealt with, just because we've seen worse situations. So that is always the biggest one that clients have to deal with.
Yeah, and I love your passion, your commitment to the clients and to relieving the stress of what they're dealing with. What do you like best about what you do?
Well, I like the fact that we can show tangible results to our clients. So that's the only thing, or one of the biggest things I like about this business, that we can start the relationship at a point A, and by the time we get to point B or C, there is a tangible results that the clients can get, whether it is a reduced stress, the fact that they're actually seeing the savings in their taxes, the fact that they're actually increasing their savings and they're growing their retirement funds, the fact that they are getting a better and better understanding of our tax system. is always a good relief. So I like the fact that we provide tangible results to our clients.
Nice. So I know you give advice every day, and a lot of great advice, it sounds like. What is the best advice that anyone's ever given you?
Well, I get a lot of advice all the time because I work with a lot of coaches from time to time, whether it is advice on how I can save better, of how I can streamline my business better, of how I can hire better. So I always get all this advice from time to time. But I think if I just look at the most recent advice, it was just that advice of streamlining my business by focusing on a particular client. And so what we've started doing recently is, in terms of our advertisements or in terms of our promotion, we just don't promote to everyone. Again, we promote to a target client base.
That's great.
That we want to hire, that we want to get. So that's been really, really helpful. And in terms of streamlining our business, some of the processes we're putting together today, in terms of the clients that we work with, is helping reduce at least a lot of stress and a lot of issues that we have in terms of our internal operations. So a simple one is, if we take on a business client today, we'll say, okay, this is how we work with businesses. We'll say, okay, if you're not on QuickBooks Online, if you're not processing your payroll using WagePoint, unfortunately, we can't serve you because that is the only system that we use, and we don't want to learn anything new. And so just putting some of these small processes in place, it helps us streamline our processes. It helps us serve our clients even better. And so that is just the value of advice.
That's great. Speaking of advice, if someone's watching this and they're considering a career in accounting, what advice would you give to someone who's at the beginning of their career there?
Well, the big advice is that accounting is a great profession. If you look at all the professions out there, and when it comes to return on investment, return on time, then pursuing a career in accounting is a great option, is a great career. Now, it's challenging. It's always challenging to get into this profession because just getting the degree, the bachelor's degree, is not sufficient. You have to put in the time to get the designation. Because if you have the designation, that's when you begin to get the value. And to get the designation requires you to get some experience. And so at the end of the day, if you put in the time to get the degree and to get the designation, then obviously it's going to be time well spent, because you will always have a job waiting for you. And if you don't have a job, you can always start your own business because there's always demand. But obviously technology is putting a lot of pressure in terms of how we deliver our services. And so you have to be willing to adapt to technology and just to be in front of trends if you want to get a good career in this industry.
Great, that's some great advice. And so I'm hoping that you don't work in the office 24/7. So what are your favorite things to do when you have downtime, when you're not doing accounting?
Well, if I'm not doing accounting, I love to play chess. So chess is one of my biggest pastimes. But just because these days we're busy with work, sometimes I don't get as much time to play. But that's one of the reasons why I run the chess club. That's one reason I run a chess promotion events company. And so, so I enjoy playing chess. From time to time, I also play golf, but also hanging out with our chess community, with our church community, just serving and going there weekly, sometimes twice a week, to help out and to reach as many people as we can.
I love that. And now you mentioned you help run a chess nonprofit.
That's right.
And what's that group called?
So it's called the Oakville Chess Club. So that's the local club we run here in Oakville club. So before the pandemic, we used to meet once a week. But since the pandemic, we've moved from in-person meetings to online. but now we're just negotiating a space to get back to in-person meeting starting sometime next month. In addition to that, we also run a company called Elevate My Chess. And so we promote and run chess events in Canada. So typically chess tournaments that we run from time to time, mostly in Ontario and in the GTA area.
Very nice. So is there anything else that you'd like to share that I have not asked you about yet?
Nothing else. It's just to tell people, if you want to understand what our tax system looks like, go get a copy of this to get a better understanding of our taxes and how you can stretch your dollar even further to create tax efficient wealth. And just encouraging all businesses and individuals. We live in a country where our tax rates are high. Just don't raise your hands up and saying, okay, I'm going to give up because there's nothing I can do. There's always something that you can do. Even though all the income you have is a T4 income, there are ways you can stretch your dollars. There are ways you can save on taxes. So I'm going to advise everyone, look for a proficient tax advisor close to you and just call and have a conversation to see what you can do to your personal situation. So obviously taxes is personal, so that's why it's always important to have that one-on-one consultation.
Nice. And of course, someone like you who actually doesn't just do the taxes, but also gives advice surrounding the taxes, right. Which I wonder if some of that comes from being a chess player. You're thinking a few moves ahead.
That's right. That's right. That's all it takes.
And your website again was kengreen.com?
Kengreen.ca.
Sorry, kengreen.ca. That's right. That. And that's just GREEN, like the color. There's no extra E on the end or anything like that.
That's right. Just like the color. That's
so just kengreen.ca, and they can learn about you, find your book, get in touch with you there. And that's fantastic. Well, Ken, it's been fantastic talking to you. I always love, I don't have nearly enough time to play chess myself, but I'm enamored of the game. I'm just not very good at it. So I always love meeting another chess fan, and it's been great learning all about your business. So thank you very much for your time.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the conversation.